Social Animals is a 2018 American documentary film that takes place in a social media platform that's based on three characters: a daredevil photographer, an inspiring swimsuit model, and a Midwest girl next door are looking for the same things in their social media accounts: a little love, acceptance, and fame, and they'll do just about anything to get it. Social Animals peeks into the digital and real worlds of today's teenager where followers, likes, and comments marks success and self-worth. And they were right. Social Animals, I did not know what I was getting myself into. I looked this up in certain websites such as reddit.com, Rotten Tomatoes, and I found this during the hidden gem section, one of the most hidden gems of documentaries that's out there right now today. And social animals is still out there. As watching this, I did not look at any information about the film. What kind of got me was the front cover. Let me see, right here. It shows like this girl character who I did not know who this person is. And I looked at the back and I could tell like it's like one of those indie documentaries. But I was on board because a lot of indie films do great when it comes to expressing certain dialogue and cinematography and just getting everything done in place. But I was wrong about the characters because these three characters that's on this film, they play as themselves. These are real people who are going through real times or that was going through real times in social media and just expressing the struggles and certain balances when it comes to dealing with things under pressure, when it comes to Instagram and just people just bashing on you and just being stalked and being persecuted. I love this film. This film was pretty intense, pretty engaging, and most of all, pretty disturbing in certain ways. Each character expressed themselves in a great way and in a disturbing way when it comes to boosting up their successes, when it comes to their ways of putting their talent out there in a social media platform. Like Caitlin Slevin. Caitlin Slevin is a swimsuit model, and she wanted to be a swimsuit model, but at the same time, she was a little nervous. She even talks about it in the beginning of the movie how she's aware of how people might come at her and try to judge her of what she wants to do with her career. But her father was a main person who supported her. And I actually like her father a lot because when it comes to having children, when it comes to knowing what they want to do, because I know that some family members, they want to live in a circle. If I have a goal that I want my son or my daughter to do the exact same thing. But with Social Animals, with Caitlin Slevin's family, with her father, he understands that when this generation has a different angle of how they want to do certain things when it comes to their successes, sometimes they want to break that gap. Like, hey, look, this may be what you want to do, and you may have a family trio of how everything runs, but I want to be different. And her father supports that. And I wish that a lot of families could watch this and gravitate to it, especially my family, because I struggled when it comes to try to put my artwork out there, trying to do things in my own way. And it was hard for my family to accept that. It's not like I was doing anything wrong. It's just they lived in a track where if you are in a circle of people and if you have your own beliefs of how you want to live your life, you will get criticized. And that's what the whole determination of depression comes in. And that's why I like Social Animals, is because they express that in a lot of ways where I can relate to. But Caitlin, even though she succeeds, as she gets older, she like her pictures, everything else that gets out there, like she gets a lot of likes, she gets a lot of support from her friends and her family and stuff. But as she gets older, so does her fan base. Her fan base gets older, and instead of her getting likes, she begins to get a lot of sexual comments and a whole lot of sexual like remarks to her body and stuff, and she begins to feel uncomfortable. She begins to feel unsafe because she begins to get certain death threats and certain like messages of people saying that, hey, look, I live right around you. How about we do something and whatever? And it actually shows you the pressure of what models go through when it comes to them dealing with this type of thing. And again, her father, instead of him telling her, look, I need you to stop this now, I need you to stop putting these photos out there, no, like he begins to show more further support by protecting her and by trying to boost up the security at the house and trying to show her and just to show people that just because social media is a bad place doesn't mean that that your character or that your child is going through a state where it could diminish them. You need to be a parent and you need to show support no matter how tough social media gets. Now that's just a perspective of just a model's point of view, which again I can relate to, not in a model way, but just knowing how things can turn a little bad when it comes to being stalked and being persecuted. That's her angle. Now we go to Homza Diaz. Homza Diaz is the person who does like a lot of landscape photography. He likes to be on top of buildings, like to do some graffiti artwork, and likes to do do a lot of landscape visuals when it comes to getting like the right angle shot correctly. And by him doing that, it doesn't just show him, like it doesn't just show us what he does, it shows us how he does it. And it's pretty intense. There are some times where he does some stunts where it makes me be like, I don't know if I can do this because I'm afraid of heights. So when they show you his perspective of how he ended up getting these shots done when he stands on top of buildings and when he's just, man, like in 10 to 12 stories high, it makes you feel nervous, but the shots he takes is well worth it. And I love I love the work that he does, and I kind of feel bad because I did not know this man existed. But as his career was beginning to be in a successful rate, he was beginning to get a lot of hatred from his friends, from his close relatives, saying that, hey, look, since you're famous, since you're doing this, you're gonna act different and stuff. And again, this is what I can also relate to, also because as my artwork was going out there, as I was getting a little mainstream, I noticed a lot of people was beginning to drive themselves away from me because, and I even posted this on social media as saying that the people who will be around you when your times is rough are the ones who are going to make sure that you don't succeed. But as you succeed, people drift away from you because they feel self-hatred and they feel jealousy. Holmes was going through the exact same thing. People was around him because he was in a shell. But as that shell hatched and as he wanted to do things more for himself, people was beginning to belittle him and criticize him. But he didn't let that stop him. He still became the man that he is today, doing a lot of landscape photography. And if you own a laptop and if you own like any computers, when you go to the home screen, when you see those pictures of a whole lot of mountains and a whole lot of good photography work done, some of that is his work. That's how well known he is. Then we go to Emma Crockett Robinson, the Midwest girl. Now, even though her story, her documentary may not be as in a successful rate as Homza and as Kaylin, but her story is actually more relatable. And when it comes to like just being normal, she is a quiet girl from the Midwest area, and all she just wants is for people to understand where she comes from, of her just being herself, and she just wants to be accepted. She keeps a lot of things to herself. She's a quiet girl. There even shows some scenes in school where she sees a lot of girls walk around, talk about certain things when it comes to expressing themselves, try to be with the right guy, try to date high school guys and all this stuff. But Emma, she stands out. She keeps things to herself, and she just tries to stay away from those type of people because she thinks that those people may diminish her to be somebody that she's not, and that's completely understandable. Unlike her, I was a little bit of the I tried to fit in as much way as I could when I was in high school. I wasn't a quiet person, but I was a person that would try to impress people and try to do things I didn't want to do. But at the end of the day, I kind of felt embarrassed and I kind of felt like I wasn't being myself. And at the end of the day, I was putting people in my life that was acting fake towards me. But with Emma, she was aware of that, so she just stayed away from those type of people because she knew that that was cancer. But then she meets a guy that notice how she is, and she slowly begins to open up to this man as he begins to break the ice, try to help her um, open up and try to make her feel comfortable. So when she realizes that, you know what, this man might like me for who I am, so she begins to express herself. But the weakness with people when it comes to not expressing themselves that much, they when they let their guard down, they let their guard down a lot, and that's what happened. She when she let her guard down with this guy, she don't only gets her heart broken, but she was absolutely depressed as this man not just rejects her, but he begins to talk to other females in front of her, and it makes her feel as if she was unattractive because there was a comparison between the girls he was talking to and herself. Not only that he just let her know that she was ugly and unattractive, but she looked at some photos and there was a vast difference. These girls looked like models and she was just a regular female. So it put her in a dark state and it made her feel as if she couldn't trust anybody, and not even her own family. So there was one part in the movie where her family was calling her name and looking for her, and then when her mom went into her room, she couldn't find her, but she knew she was in the room somewhere. So when she checked the closet, she found her body. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to break down, but because by me understanding depression, it's hard for me to talk about other people's depression going, without me reliving my depression state. But she finds her daughter in a room. I mean, in her closet, like nothing but like just sleeping pills all over her, and her pupils was dilated and she just could not. She was unfunctioning. She was getting close of blacking out and getting close to death, and she had to get rushed to the hospital as quickly as possible. And I love the part when it was explaining that, and it was so depressing to the point where Emma wasn't talking about it as it was going on to that stage, because unlike Holmesa and Caitlin, when they was talking about their documentaries as the story was progressing, Emma was talking about it, but when it was getting close to that state where things was getting darker, she didn't want to talk about it any further, because just like how I mentioned, when you get to the depressing mode of talking about people ending their lives, you relive it. So her mom ended up talking about that situation, and Emma, she just stood there. She just stood there and just gravitating to the situation as her mom saying how much she was worried about her, how much she thought she was going to lose her daughter and stuff, and um, that like at that point, it never like she never thought that her daughter would go through that such a thing. I'm sorry, I had to take a little break. Talking about that was unexpected. By me not knowing these characters in real life, I wasn't expecting this type of I wasn't expecting to get hit that I wasn't expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting that type of turn. And by her being one of the latest, one of the third parts of the film, of the documentary, I thought it was perfect. When it comes to Caitlin's story, it gave us the impression of knowing how it is to be stalked and knowing how dark social media is when it comes to being a model and to open up, not open up, but just showing off, your body towards everybody, and you're gonna get likes, you're gonna get comments, but at the same time, you're gonna get creeps trying to find out where you live, trying to get your address, and just not just going over and crossing that line of privacy. And that's where the security comes in, and that's where the models feel unsafe. And again, I if y'all looked at my vlog talks of how I almost got murdered and how my ex-girlfriend was stalking me and stuff, I get it. I understood where she was coming from, because being in your house and being around family but still not feeling safe, I get it. I understand. And then we got Holmesa. He comes from an aspect of knowing when your friends will turn on you when it comes to successes, knowing when people will just abandon you when you need them the most. And his story was well done. Now with Emma, her story is more of just being on guard and letting your guard down at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person, and just being in a dark, depressing state, and just knowing how dark the world really is. This film was great in all aspects, and I love it a lot. And I need um, for people to who are watching this review to please watch Social Animals. If you can't find it in any like streaming website, then I recommend you buying it. I had to buy it, but yeah, it's I don't know what else to say about this film. This film has really opened me up in so many ways, where not only that I can relate to it, but it pushed me back to the days where I was struggling to express myself in social media, express my securities, and knowing when my life was in danger, knowing who to trust when it comes to pushing out my artwork and my career out there, and just knowing being on the dark side of the terms of how the world really is, and thinking about ending it. I've thought about ending my life many, 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 many times. And even though Emma Crockett has not talked about her distance with her family, because depression normally comes from family distances. When your family lives in a circle, and like I mentioned, and then you just feel like you're out of place. So when her mother said that she did not know that her daughter would do such a thing, she probably did not notice, because her daughter knew that her mother would not take it the right way. That's why a lot of people keep things to themselves. And that's why I tell parents, by me being a mental therapist, things are not the way it is anymore. Things are way worse than how it is back in your day. So when you have kids, and you know how you was treated when you was once a child, treat your kid better. Try to open up to that child and try to understand what that kid is going through. Because deep down, even though you think you may know that child because that's your child, you may not know them spiritually. You may not know what they do outside of the house. So that's what she was probably going through, and that's why she probably didn't want to talk about it in the documentary. As many times her mom was expressing the situation about her committing suicide and how she was shocked about it, Emma just sat there, and the way how she looked, it wasn't a look of just not only by her living that aspect again, but I can tell it was a look of her knowing that this wasn't her first time thinking about committing suicide. I'm gonna have to give Social Animals an A plus. This movie really touched me. This movie was very beautifully executed when it comes to the documentary build up, the story development, the character development, the cinematography, and the suicidal depression expression. I have no negatives to say about this film, other than the fact that not a lot of people is talking about it. This documentary needs to be pushed out. It's been 2018, 1921. It's been 3 years, over 3 years, and so far no one has spoken a word about Social Animals. But you know what? I don't care if I don't get no views watching this. I don't care if I don't get no likes of this video. I don't care, because it's gonna stay here, and as long as it stays here, it's gonna be in my channel for history. So please watch Social Animals. It's a very good documentary film, and you will not be sorry. I guess that's it. Well, that's all I have for today. Please stay tuned for more of my reviews and upcoming videos coming your way. This is TCT, a critic teacher, and you guys have a good day.